Welcome back. U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer telling Fox Business that he'd like to get a new NAFTA agreement in place in quote, a week or two. Those NAFTA negotiations are front and center for clients of the Bank of Canada. The Royal Bank of Canada CEO sat down with me exclusively, Dave McKay. He gave us a big clue as to where the NAFTA negotiations are headed, but not before explaining how this uncertainty is affecting customers.
Certainly, anytime you're making long-term investments in a country, you think about the stability of the policy around that. I think you have to look at NAFTA on two fronts. One, it's important to get this right. Two, though, the uncertainty is causing some customers to hold back on investments. So when you look at getting it right, there's a number of clauses that we have to get right. The dispute mechanism is really important to have a fair dispute mechanism. Rules of origin, particularly in automotive manufacturing, I think they did make some good progress this week on rules of origin. As we heard, but they suspended negotiations to get back together next week, particularly in the auto sector. What qualifies as origin and what percent North American, what percent from the United States is really important to the global supply chains of the OEMs. So we have to get that right. And big companies have made investments, long-term investments in supply chains that we don't want to disrupt. So getting that right is really important.
So explain that before you go on to the next one in terms of getting this right and the investment here. Because I'm not sure people understand in terms of the auto business, but this is really the sticking point.
Yeah, one of the large sticking points for sure is it 80% North American content, 70% what qualifies for free trade, what percent has to be originated out of the U.S. markets. These are all, has to be carefully balanced against existing and long-term plans of the automotive manufacturers like General Motors and Ford and others between Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. And parts are flying across the border multiple times before the end product is finished. So there's been a long-term investment by these manufacturers in creating these competitive global supply chains. We have to take that into consideration. And you've seen the automotive manufacturers talk about that, saying these are tightly integrated parts and manufacturing processes that benefit all countries. So there's been some good progress. How do you define what a part is? It's not just about the tires. It's not just about the doors. It's about the software and the IP that goes into a car. Increasingly, Apple Car and other key ingredients. What IBM's doing with a car is you talk about the software that helps run an autonomous vehicle. That content definition will change. So it's time to modernize NAFTA for sure. So very important to get this right. And you can't rush in to these types of agreements. It took a long time to craft, and I guess there's an urgency to get this done and move on to greater structural issues like China. So certainly rules of origin is a big one. Sunset clause. As an investor, you need certainty over the term of your investment and how long will the policy apply. Right now, NAFTA is on an evergreen agreement. It continues to renew unless the President or Congress institutes the 180-day clause to remove the United States. But it renews automatically. The proposal is to looks more like the U.S. budget process, where the budget terminates or NAFTA will terminate on a 5-year cycle or a 6-year cycle unless it's renewed. Well, you cannot get into a partisan political process every time NAFTA matures every 5 years, because as an investor, I want to know there's certainty my investment beyond 5 years.
Right.
So again, very important process around what is the sunset clause. And businesses in Canada and the United States have been quite vocal that getting the sunset clause right is really critical to the understanding the tenor of your investments.
And if we don't get a new deal, this is going to be bad for all involved.
It will. Uncertainty reduces investment. We've seen that time and time. Geopolitical uncertainty, trade uncertainty, policy uncertainty causes businesses to pause or look elsewhere for investment. And we've seen that in the energy industry in our own country, in Canada, where the inability to get our product to market, the inability to get pipelines approved to get our product to global markets has caused a significant reduction in foreign direct investment in Canada, and the U.S. has benefited from that. As you built pipelines to both coasts, you're able to get your natural gas to new markets in Asia and Europe, ultimately oil and export license, becoming a global energy producer. So again, getting your product to market and getting that policy in place is really important.
So you think that Canada was at a disadvantage as a result?
Certainly, and specifically with pipelines. We sell our oil into the United States at roughly a 30% discount to the world price because we have only one buyer of our product through a limited number of supply channels. It's cost the economy $10 to $12 billion a year in discount off the WTI global price of crude. So just getting access to Asian or European markets will get us back to a European price, plus expand the demand for oil and natural gas coming out of our Western economies.
But in terms of the investment side of this, I mean, I feel like every time the market feels like we are not going to get a new deal, we have a major sell-off in stock prices. The last time Justin Trudeau said, look, we're willing to walk away from these NAFTA deals, that was the most recent 1,000-point sell-off.
Yeah.
So do you have confidence that we will see a new deal?
I do, because it's so important to both countries. 35 of the 50 states rely on Canada as their #1 trade partner. The agriculture industries, all those states, those swing states for the U.S. administration, are big trade partners with Canada. So there's a real impetus. It's balanced trade. Goods and services is balanced between the two countries. There's not a structural deficit the way you see with Mexico, Germany, and China. So the U.S. is right to look at issues where there's structural deficit, but that doesn't exist with Canada. So we should be able to move this forward. So I am positive that it's so beneficial to both countries that we'll get over these kind of 3 remaining critical issues and get to an agreement.
Tell us about your own business. Obviously, in addition to being Canada's largest lender, you also have substantial operations here in the United States where you're deriving 23% of revenue. You acquired City National. How's business right now? From 30,000 feet, I know you've got
business is really strong. 75% of our business is in Canada, 23%, as you said, United States. Our U.S. franchise is doing exceptionally well. We serve a corporate and institutional customer out of our capital markets operation in New York City. A very strong operation. We're number 10 globally in global capital markets based on the fee pool, so we've done very, very well. A strong sponsor-based clients, strong corporate clients. And then City National franchise we acquired 3 years ago, and our largest acquisition ever, based here in Los Angeles, really serves the commercial and high net worth client franchises. The entertainment industry, they're very strong in real estate, quick service restaurant, franchisee restaurants, professional services. So very much an entrepreneurial firm serving entrepreneurs, their business and their personal needs. And we grew 35% year over year last year. First quarter, again, we're up 30 to 40%. So very strong growth. And we're hiring. We've added over 25% more frontline sales staff and back office sales staff. We're really growing the City National franchise. It's just about 1,000 people in the last 2 years. We're continuing to grow. We're growing in New York City. So very much the tax cuts have spurred us on to invest more for growth. And you're hiring to boot, so that's positive. Exactly. Dave, it's great to have you on the program. Thank you. Thank you, Maria. All right, our thanks to RBC CEO Dave McKay.